Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another episode of The Monsters. Good. Hope everybody's doing good. It's been 2 weeks since we've both seen you all. 2 weeks since we've been together. Tonight is kind of a what we've been watching episode. So we'll just quickly talk about some films we've been watching, some Blu-rays, DVDs, or 4Ks we picked up, that sort of thing. You know how it goes. Let me introduce the crew. Jamie Laszlo's in the house.
What's up?
With his Woody Woodpecker shirt. Look at that, man. That's a
nice
blast from the past. We got the King is here, Chris Laszlo. The man we keep up late every 2 weeks, Davy Gallagher, all the way from Scotland. He's yawning already. Dan Brown is in the house. And Craig Kaminski is here as well. What's going on, fellas?
All good. Good evening, Pete. How are you?
Doing all right. Doing all right. Getting ready for Hammer Frankenstein in 2 weeks, you know.
Me too.
Chris was ready for it tonight, but
I was.
Got to pay attention to that Facebook thread, my friend.
Fuck, man. I feel like I'm back in college and I looked at the syllabus wrong.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Which I did often.
He's all ready to go. He's got 2 weeks to not worry about anything.
Yeah.
So, right. So we're going to do two trips around the Zoom tonight, just kind of talking about some stuff quickly that we've been checking out since the last time we've done this. When did we do one of these episodes? The beginning of the year, right? January?
Yeah, 1.25 is what we've been kind of doing.
Quarter, yeah, which makes sense, right? I think folks always like to see what we're kind of watching in our spare time and stuff. So,
like a mental enema. You know?
Mr. Jamie, did you get your package in the mail? Looks like you did.
Oh yeah, look at that.
All right, very cool.
All right, he's got.
And I got the shirt upstairs.
Nice, awesome.
Hey, don't forget your Monsters Den merch, folks.
You get that. I saw
Doesn't-
that on your
doesn't he
channel
get
today, Davey.
doesn't Jamie get monogrammed stuff now that he's got a new
Now he's in upper
title and
management.
role? Or...
Yeah.
You know those executive guys, right? You know.
This is fit just for my head.
Hey, I spent my whole life being independent in business. You know, I didn't want to work for anybody else and this and that. Now on this show, I'm adrift in a sea of upper management now, so I gotta deal with it, I guess.
We're watching.
Behave yourself.
It's like an episode of Severance in here.
All right, Woody Woodpecker, start us off.
All right. Speaking of which, I actually do watch Woody Woodpecker. I got 45 different short cartoons here that I've been watching on Saturday mornings. And yes, I was watching this last Saturday or Saturday before. Oh, just last Saturday morning. Got out the old phone. Woody Woodpecker shirt. Oh, there's one. Sold. That's how it happens. I did see one movie that I streamed on Shudder. I don't know if you guys saw this or know of it. It's called Destroy All Neighbors. Have you seen this movie?
Oh,
yeah. I figured Pete would
it.
see it because it's a horror movie that involves prog rock. And it's got prog rock jokes in it. It's very much a comedy as well as a horror movie. But I think it's fucking hilarious. I mean, you got a dude sitting in his apartment by himself. He's like a one-man band, and all he does is he works on his prog rock album day after day. So he's basically Rand Kelly sitting in his apartment. And there's a dude that comes in and into the apartment and moves in next to him. And it's Alex Winter, who played Bill from Bill and Ted, but you can't recognize him. He's under a fat suit and heavy makeup, and it obviously looks like makeup, but it's hilarious. And he's hilarious with a bad Irish accent and everything. And it just goes and goes and goes until this dude, who's the lead in it? Johanna Ray, I think is his name. And he hosted the Mystery Science 2000, 3000, sometime around 2018. So he's a funny guy. He's a comedian. He's had a nerd podcast type thing. So he kind of knows nerdy things and he knows funny. So he's really good in it. And if you want to see like a band made out of dead bodies playing prog rock at the end, it's just that kind of fast-paced, goofy movie. It's never boring, but like I said, it doesn't make sense all the time. But as long as you're laughing, who gives a shit? I mean, and I laugh.
It's got its moments. I will give it that.
Yes. So getting that out of the way. Every few years, I like to go back into Hitchcock. I can't help myself. I just dive right back into it. And I had once I get a shelf going, I had a nice little Hitchcock shelf going, and I had to add to it. So I've been watching Hitchcock. I've been buying Hitchcock. Some of these are out of print, I think, or something. The parroting case I got, which isn't
love it.
bad, but it was a little pricey, you know. So, but I enjoyed. This one was pricey. Spellbound.
That's been out of print for a while. That's why.
Yeah. I'm like, why am I paying $40 for just a normal Blu-ray, no special case or anything? But I did it.
And now, of course, this summer they're going to release it in 4K.
Oh yeah, 4K coming soon.
Oh, is it? Do you know?
No, Criterion have the rights though, so would not be surprised.
I googled just to see if it was in the works. You know, I got these minor ones, To Catch a Thief.
That's
just watched
amazing.
it.
That's
I
amazing.
just watched it yesterday.
Oh, did you?
Yep.
It has its moments, but
Oh,
it's
yeah.
not one of my favorites.
Yeah.
But look, and then
That's a
you
great
open it
film.
and it has the original poster, which is
Yep.
really cool.
Yeah, I like those Paramount Presents releases.
Yeah.
Yes. Stage Fright I got recently. You know, I didn't like it the first time I watched it. I got this kind of cheap, so I gave it another shot. It's good. And Rebecca on Criterion.
Essential.
Got some these I was gonna watch. I seen The Lodger. These are the silent ones.
That's
I've
right.
seen this one. I have not seen Blackmail or Murder, which is not the most creative movie titles. It's like a half a step away from just calling your movie. And I was gonna watch one of these, but March Madness, I decided to watch March Madness because my brackets are doing all right. Now, this Criterion one, classic Hitchcock, I think it came out in 2015. And it's got 4 movies in it. It has The Man Who Knew Too Much, the original, 39 Steps, A Lady Vanishes, and Foreign Correspondent. You can get all of these for $21 a piece. But I spent an extra $37 on this just to have the cardboard box. I don't know why I did that, but
You know
I did.
why? Because there's this thing called the purse.
I know. If you would have told me I was going to do that like 5 years ago, I would have called you
I
nuts.
gotta have that damn box, right?
Right. This is cool if you can find it. You can find this on Amazon for like 20 some bucks. It has Dial M for Murder, North by Northwest, and Strangers on a Train. And it comes with the same kind of box. And it's like a fraction of the price of the other one. And this one I had for a while, but I was going to show too, because this is kind of a bargain that you get Suspicion, I Confess, and Dial M for Murder and The Wrong Man all in a cool little thing. So yeah, I've been diving into a lot of Hitchcock.
Nothing wrong with that.
Every 2 or 3 years, like just get the,
I'm on
23
like,
films,
kind of like the
6
same journey. Yeah, I did the same thing.
yeah.
It's like you get into a bug and you just start watching a whole bunch.
Yeah, again and again. Yeah.
Cool. All right, let's make our way up to Zoom. Chris.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, I didn't bring any boxes with me because I'm on next week's episode. The first one I did was a blind buy for me. This is a limited edition, advertised as a limited edition one-time pressing on Blu-ray of a Japanese film called The Haunted Samurai, and you can get this from Diabolic DVD. I had never heard of this movie before. But they compared it to the Lone Wolf and Cub films because it was the artist that did the Lone Wolf and Cub manga, and I really enjoyed this movie. I knew nothing about it. It's it's a samurai movie, but there's like lots of really beautiful Asian women that run around topless and have crossbows, and there's a lot of blood and arterial spray and some really good fight scenes, and I totally dug it. Apparently Diabolic DVD is the place to get it, so I give it a thumbs up. I would definitely if you like that kind of thing, if you're a fan of Shogun Assassin, the Lone Wolf and Cub movies, I definitely enjoyed it.
What year was that, Chris?
1970.
Oh, okay.
I had never heard of it. I
Oh.
couldn't even find a real trailer of it.
Wow.
Just Diabolic. Apparently, they got a print and they cleaned it up, and I was sold with the one-time pressing, never again. And I was like, all right, but it was surprisingly it was good. I enjoyed it, so that was a good one. Another one that I had watched over the weekend that I had seen years ago. I had a bootleg DVD of it, and apparently a couple years ago there was I forget if it's a double disc or a triple disc. There was a European re-release of this movie with 3 different versions, and the movie's called Bloody Friday, and it's a European crime film. It's basically like a more exploitative version of Dog Day Afternoon, without the whole sex change thing. I believe it was a German, I think it was a German and Italian co-production, and bunch of guys rob a bank. Shit goes wrong. They take a bunch of prisoners, and yeah, it is pretty bloody and gory. There's at the very end too. There's some crazy sex scenes. I enjoy this movie. It was a bit of a slow burn in my head. I remembered the pacing being a little quicker, but I totally dug it. It's from 1972, and yeah, I don't. It's all foreign names. I don't know anybody, but it was good. I definitely dug it, and yeah, like I said, it was some kind of Euro disc I got. And then what's the other one? Oh yeah, then I had a bunch of guys over my house. I had mentioned, I don't know how it came up, but I had a couple friends over, and I think we watched it. Pete, you and I watched it like a year or two ago. The uncut version of Conquest of the Planet of the Apes.
Yep.
I don't know. I have no idea how it came up in conversation. I was out with a bunch of friends, and that movie came up, which is a classic. And I was like, yeah, the Blu-ray has the uncut version with the alternate ending, and I was explaining it, and they were like, what? And yeah, so I had a bunch of guys over, and we watched that, and it always goes over, and people are always like, oh, holy shit. It's on the Blu-ray box set. It's actually like 30 seconds shorter than the original cut, but it's so much more gruesome than the original version, and plays so much better. Because even as a kid, when I remember when I would watch Conquest of the Planet of the Apes on the 4:30 movie, and I didn't know shit about movies, but even as a kid, I never understood the ending, how they all of a sudden zoomed in on Caesar's eyes, and it sounded different, and I'm like, oh, what happened here? Like I knew something was wrong, and 50 years later, they had the uncut version. So those are the 3 that I watched.
Yeah, that last half hour of the film is complete mayhem.
Oh, it's just nuts. I mean, when they're literally piling up bodies, the apes are piling up bodies of the army guys and just pounding the dead bodies, and the blood is just seeping out. It's crazy.
Anyone else liking Chris's new mic setup? Sounded great.
Hi. Look, it's on a sports show.
I don't like it. It makes me look like Sammy Hagar in 1986, but
Or Garth Brooks in 1992.
that one, I'll have to take your word on that one, Jamie. I wish I had either of those guys' money, but what are you gonna do?
Yeah, don't we all? Don't we all? All right, Davey.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Just echo.
Yeah, I hear it myself back. That's strange. I'll move on from the voices in my head, as the doctor keeps telling me to do. Film by Francis Ford Coppola with vampires. What film would that be?
Oh, Dracula.
Dracula, yeah.
Oh,
Twixt from 2011. I think I'd heard the name. I was vaguely aware that he made Twixt and Teatral were his 2 kind of 2000s movies. This is fucking brilliant. I completely wrote this off as, come on, it looks like fucking one of Dan's Twilight movies. Oh, look.
Always has to come up, doesn't it?
Wow.
Yeah, that's
And
Well,
Elle
that's a
It's a
Fanning's
hard
in
one to
it.
live down, Dan.
A joke that backfired heavily on me.
It's essentially
Dan's Twilight's become the new Paul Catino, I think.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Oh,
Could be
God.
worse.
Jesus.
pulling a brown doesn't
I have
sound
an
quite
ARP
right, though.
card.
That's,
Show some respect, okay, please.
nobody's ever going to pull a brown. That's horrible. So Twixt essentially is the story of Val Kilmer going to this small town, and time isn't quite what you think it is. There, everything seems to be in flux. Bruce Dern's the sheriff, so that tells you how fucking nuts it's going to be, because who the fuck would give Bruce Dern a job as a sheriff? He's completely off his rocker. And he keeps having dreams about this young girl, and when he goes into the dreams, it's Sin City style, so everything's black and white except for what Coppola wants you to focus on. So there'll be blood, there'll be a red carpet, there'll be things like that, and it takes you into this other world where Edgar Allan Poe's literally in here as a character talking to Val Kilmer. It's a really strange, dreamlike film. I don't think it quite sticks the landing at the end. It's the one thing at the end. Oh, damn it. But 90 minutes long, and I really enjoyed it for an underseen Coppola film, which I've never really heard anybody talking about, to be honest. So yeah, Twixt, starring Val Kilmer, Elle Fanning, Bruce Dern, and David Haymer, I think was in there as well. We all like The Evil Dead, don't we? All of us? Yeah. How about The Evil Dead Trap?
Oh yeah. Classic.
Yeah. Yeah, so Evil Dead Trap from 1988 from Japan, and Evil Dead Trap 2 in Japan as well, funnily enough.
Okay.
These are very Argento inspired with a little bit of Cronenberg thrown in, Japanese films where there's an overriding theme, but I can't really tell you what that is without spoiling the kind of third act of the first film. But it's essentially the first one is a TV crew gets sent a snuff movie where the person who's been bumped off looks like the newsreader, so they go and investigate it, and it's all taking place in a small compound, and shit happens from there. So it becomes a little bit slashery, but much more in the Dario Argento, very Italian style, where it's very dreamy. The color palette goes completely haywire, and there's really severe violence. It's an incredibly bloody film, made only less bloody by the fact that Evil Dead Trap 2, as you can see in the front, is a literal bloodbath. There is a hell of a lot of violence in this. This is a much darker film, with a real sadness about it. The first one's quite a fun film if you want to watch it in a kind of horror mood, but the second one's a much darker, deeper film that is probably a better film, but not as good a movie, if that makes sense, if you want to differentiate the two things. But recommended for anyone who likes 80s J horror rather than the resurgence of J horror that we got around the turn of the century with Audition and Takeshi Miike's films and those kind of things. A kind of theme that I'm following here of yeah, it was a Coppola, but not the ones you're thinking of. It's a Sergio Martino, sorry. Wish it was a Martini, that'd be rather enjoyable at the moment. But not the one you're probably thinking of. It's not one of his greats. It's Island of the Fishmen, which
One of my
I
favorites.
that was released as Screamers, I believe.
Yeah, it's it's a totally different cut though. There's
Yeah,
three
it's
cuts of that film.
half hour difference. But essentially they've just gone back and made the definitive version and just called it Island of the Fishmen now. Because the title card still says Screamers, even though you watched it says Island of the Fishmen there. So for anyone who hasn't seen it, it's about an island of fishmen. That's really it. There's not much plot other than a bunch of guys get stranded on an island. There are fishmen there. They're going to be bumped off one by one. There's a young woman on the island who's going to get off with her lead. Richard Johnson plays an almost offensively English person in it, where he's, yes, I'm in it for the gold, and I don't care who knows it.
That's a pretty good impersonation.
It sounds exactly like that in the film. And he keeps saying those kind of lines. I'm only here to take over the world, don't you know? It sounds like a BBC broadcaster from the 40s, you know. I have to let you know that Adolf Hitler has invaded Poland. It's really, really cloying. But it's a fun movie and it's full of those awful, and I mean in that in a good way, awfully gory effects. The Italians got better than anyone, where skulls weren't just skulls, they were always covered in slime, and they were icky, and they were gooey, and they had half an eyeball hanging out of them, and just everything about it's really just daft fun. And Barbara Bach is the heroine in it, so what's not to love that? And last one for this round, I guess I'll do. Um, this was fucking terrible. Foot of the Gods, from 1970.
Oh, no.
Six, 76, 77?
Yeah, about then. Samuel Z. Arkoff, directed by Bertie Gordon. So it's the AIP guys, but Jesus Christ, it makes Night of the Lepus look like Cujo. I mean, the ostensible idea is that there's this food of the gods that's coming out of this hillside on a small island, in the northeast of America somewhere, and the creatures in the place there that are eating this ambrosia of the gods are becoming massive. So we get to see a fight with Marjo Gortner, was that his name? He was in loads of 70s shit. We get to see a fight with him and a 7-foot chicken. It's really, really bad. Imagine how bad you think that is in your head. It's worse than that. And then they obviously realized can't afford to do many animals here. So for the rest of the film, they just do giant rats. They just do all the animals they could possibly do. And they just do giant rats, which has been done a million times in a lot of different movies. But you have Ida Lupino as the old farm owner here, and Dan will know especially. Ida Lupino is a trailblazing filmmaker. She was the only woman filmmaker in Hollywood in the 40s and 50s.
Good
A
film.
great director. Yeah, she was making tougher film noirs than most guys at the time. And here she is saying, "Oh God, I'll never sin again. Just don't let me be eaten by a giant rat." How the mighty have fallen. And there's always a stinger at the end of these films, like, oh, the villain might have got away, or oh, this might happen again, that kind of thing. Like Damien turning around at the end of The Omen. The stinger here is that, well, we sure stopped those giant rats, and then a little bit of the stuff gets away, and it's in another field, and it's eaten by cows. So there should be a sequel to this with 80-foot cows. It was never made, unfortunately.
That film was pretty successful here.
Yeah, I can't understand why. But it's got Pamela Franklin in it, who was a decent sized star at the time.
Actually.
And that thing was on TV all the time. I remember
All
watching
the
it as a
time,
kid.
all the
I
time.
mean, I mean, there was a sequel, but it didn't have the cows.
Yeah, and I think it was one of those sequels in name only kind of things, because it's vaguely based on H.G. Wells, but it's not based on H.G. Wells at all, not even the remotely.
Yeah,
Well, that'll
that
do me.
fight with the chicken scene is so bad. It's
You
hilarious.
mean so good?
Because they've only got a head, they don't have anything else. So he's got to just kind of pretend that he's fighting this giant chicken that isn't fucking there. It's just a chicken head. And it's full of charm and stuff, like, the giant rats on top of a little tiny caravan that's obviously a toy. How can you be scared of these tiny little things, bro? I loved it in a totally bad, this is awful, what am I watching? Yeah, it's one of those kind of movies.
All right. Dan.
All right. Well, yeah. Anyhow, so, well, generally, as you know about myself, I'm pretty much into classic film. That's one of my specialties and my enjoyments about it. But underneath everything, there's always a subgenre that I like, and my subgenre is cult, and my base of cult is wide. What to me is a cult film, and it's based primarily on a book that was written years ago in the 80s called the Psychotronic Film Book of Encyclopedia of Film.
Danny Peary.
Huh?
Danny Peary.
What's that?
Danny Peary.
Danny Peary. No, Michael Weldon.
Danny Peary wrote it.
No, Michael Weldon had a U.S. version. He was in the East Village. But these books were also, if you also lived in New York, a place called Kim's Video. And Kim's Video had filmed from all over the world, bootlegs, whatever it was. And Psychotronic created this whole genre called Psychotronic, which is cult. But in his book, he had everything from musicals to even things like the Maltese Falcon. No one was doing this because they were different. And my description of cult is a film that the actor is doing something totally different. There's something quirky in the film. It's usually a film that maybe bombed and is really good and has developed a cult status over the years. So I revisited a couple of these. I'd like to share them with our audience out there and say maybe some of you guys know much about them as well. But anyhow, I'm going to start out with a film that's entitled The Horseman. The Horseman was made in 2009. Okay, to give you an idea what The Horseman is, if you take part Hardcore with George C. Scott, directed by Paul Schrader, throw in the trajectory revenge story of John Woo's Silent Night, but then you throw in the gritty, greasy, grimy, dirty underbelly of Nicolas Cage's 8mm. This is what The Horseman is. The Horseman's independent New Zealand film based about it. The way the film opens up, you see this girl walking the streets in a dark area. Next thing you know, she's gone. You see a man walking up to a house with an exterminator's outfit, coveralls, and a little spray can. Guy opens the door. Soon after a few words, he cracks the guy in the head with a tire iron. The guy's in the house. He's got him handcuffed. And the guy's busting up the house and he's finding videotapes. Eventually, he's trying to find out where was these came from. Turns around, the guy gives a name. Okay. Well, then he just takes his little spray exterminator can, sprays the guy with gasoline, lights him on fire, and walks out the house. That's it. Doesn't miss a beat. Now, what it ends up being is that his daughter, okay, was kind of like running away. She was like a wild child, or she got picked up by some guys. They fed her a bunch of drugs. They made a porno short, like a really low budget, like Grindhouse Times Square porno film. Okay, so he's systematically very much in the film the limey, like Christopher, Terrence Stamp, or any revenge-driven story. He literally goes up the feed chain, and he takes out first the first guy was the film editor. Then he goes after the guy who's distributing the videos. Goes in, he asks, how many copies of this film do you have? And it says something like, I don't know, Teenage Sluts, volume 26. So he says, how many copies? I'll buy them all. He's going to buy them, ends up just cutting the guy's throat. But before he does this, he finds out who the next guy up is. And these are the actors. And he basically systematically goes after each of them. Enough backstory to understand why he's doing it without getting schmaltzy. Okay. He also, as he goes up the chain, okay, it gets grimier and grittier to the point where these lowlifes making porno films with like young runaways, but his daughter was one of them. I mean, there is enough bone crunching, enough beating the shit out of these people, also to the point of using creative ways of extracting information from them. And it's never really shown because you see the suggestion of it. Example, he has a fish hook. Next shot, there's a guy sitting in his chair, his legs spread, and you see him holding a piece of fish line that's going down to between his legs. You know where this is going. It's like kind of like riding down a banister, and just in your imagination, it turns into a razor blade. A number of people are crossing their legs right now thinking of that. He does a creative thing with a bicycle pump. And you know what he's going to do with this? I'm going like, my God, this guy's a fucking maniac. He hooks up with a young girl who's a runaway as well, and he tracks it down to the end, and it is just brutal. It is greasy. It's grimy. Indie film. The director has not made many films after us, but this has an impact on you. Not a classic. Comes off like a 70s Los Angeles grindhouse feature, but it's made in New Zealand. Interesting to check out what's called The Horseman. The other thing that I was watching, and this is a film that's probably considered the top of the Ozploitation genre. And I'm a big fan of Ozploitation too, because it's weird. It's off the charts. And Davey mentioning about this, an Ozploitation documentary, which really opens up the world to it, of what Ozploitation is. And this is stuff made down below. And that's a film entitled, it's one of the classics entitled Wake in Fright. Simply put, Wake in Fright is about a teacher who was teaching in the big city. I believe he was in Sydney or a major city, and something happens and he leaves town. and he's en route to get another job. And he finds himself trapped in a small outback town that is just nothing but a bunch of lowlifes and degenerates. All they do is get drunk, fight each other. And he slowly, it's not a horror film in the sense of anything happens to him or a revenge film, but what you see him starting to degrade himself and join into the world as it is there. And it just does not end well. It's just, it's a classic Ozploitation film. Highly recommended. And great for
That's a
story.
1971 film, Dan?
71, yes. And it's been released on, I have a copy. It was on Image Entertainment at some point. It's also available, I think, on Umbrella out of Australia, of course. But it's a worthwhile watch. Like I said, it's just it's just watch the degradation of a human being, of his own choice. And a classic unto itself there. Can I do a third, or you guys, is that right? Can I do a third one? I'll do a third one. Okay. Next step up, I decided to go into, once again, films that failed miserably at the box office, yet have developed a cult following in this world of cult that I love. And this is a film entitled Way of the Gun with Ryan Philippe and Benicio del Toro from 2000, directed by Christopher McQuarrie. And just remember that name as I get to the end. Way of the Gun is about two hapless hitmen who basically supplement their income when they're not able to get any jobs by going to a sperm bank and donating their sperm and apparently getting $3,000 a pop to do this. But in the meanwhile, they overhear about a young surrogate mother having a child of an extremely wealthy man. I believe it's in Texas or it could be Arizona. And they're in Arizona. The surrogate mother is played by Juliette Lewis, Jeffrey Lewis's daughter, who actually looks the most attractive she's ever looked in a film, in my estimation. She's a great actress. The man who is the father, not the father child, but paying for this, is Scott Wilson from The Walking Dead. And James Caan is in this film as Scott Wilson's bagman. Now, Scott Wilson's character makes a lot of money by laundering money for drug lords and such in this, and they think it's going to be a big payday. Well, what it boils down to, things go awry. It turns into a number of Mexican standoffs, culminating with a major gunfight in like a cantina, like south of the border. And McQuarrie did this because it's basically a homage to Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Even the characters' names in the film are the real names of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, their real name in real life. Inspired by Sam Peckinpah, absolutely. Inspired by Butch Cassidy. And the interesting thing about and the film bombed horribly. And it went to DVD at an Artisan, really shitty transfer. Now it's, of course, available on Blu-ray. Ryan Philippe and Benicio del Toro are great, as always. And finally, the thing about it is that Stephen McQuarrie, the director of this film, wrote and directed this film, his first film. He eventually went into screenplays, and he has had a very, very successful collaboration over the years with Tom Cruise. Steve McQuarrie has written the script. Well, he wrote the script for Maverick, Top Gun Maverick, Valkyrie. He also wrote the script, God forbid, I hope it's not his original final draft, for The Mummy with Tom Cruise. But on top of that, he's written 2 of the recent Mission Impossible films and directed the last 3. So he's come a long way. And I know at one point in time I saw an interview with Ryan Philippe saying they always, every time they run into each other, they talk about, we need a sequel to this film because the characters don't die, not to give anything away. But Way of the Gun, great film, great cast. I mean, a lot of faces you're going to recognize, a well worth view on any night, but Way of the Gun. Well, thank you.
Didn't he write The Usual Suspects even before?
Yes, he wrote The Usual Suspects. Yes, that was his big step into Hollywood. That's correct. Yes.
I think he won an Academy Award for that.
Yes, but he's become this top-notch action director, and he even admits that Way of the Gun was flawed, and it could have been better. It is long; it runs of an hour and 59 minutes. But James Caan is probably the best role James Caan had post Godfather. He plays the bagman, the guy who takes care of problems. He has kind of like the the comeuppance of Sonny Corleone, but without the city attitude, just a more mellow version. And he has just his voice alone, his lines alone depicts a guy of malevolence. So good film.
I saw it. I don't remember a damn thing about it.
Yeah, I don't know if I've
saw
ever
it.
seen it.
I saw it. I don't remember it either.
Yeah, these films, like I get a kick out of just weird stuff like this. Well, you've seen, I've given you some guys some sticks with some odd stuff on there. I mean, I like weird. What can I tell you? I like
Isn't there another film called Way of the Gun with James Garner, a Doc Holliday kind of movie, an OK Corral?
Oh, that's correct. That's Hour of the Gun. But that's a Western based on, yeah, okay.
Hour of the Gun, right?
Hour of the Gun, yes. Like 67, I believe.
Yeah, but Stacy Keach maybe? No, he's in
Yeah.
Doc.
No, he's in Doc. It's
Anyway,
actually not a bad film, that Hour of the Gun. It's actually a decent film. It kind of gets buried in all the OK Corral stories.
welcome to the Western Den.
All right, where are we, Craig?
All right, I'll just have a couple here or a few here for my Prezi. So, oops. First, oops, open. There we go. Watch this Suitable Flesh. Watch this on Shudder. Chris, I think, watched it too.
Yep, I saw it.
Well,
Yeah,
separate.
did as well.
We didn't watch it together, but I want with Heather Graham and Barbara Crampton. I wanted to like this movie a lot more than I did, but it was kind of a mess with the body jumping and with possession of, the person's soul is inside of a different person's body, and I wanted to like it a lot more than what it was, because it seemed like I was seeing a lot of ads for it, and that it was pretty well hyped, but yeah, just not the biggest fan of it. But
And the poster makes you think it's going to be better than what it is.
yeah,
Yeah.
I was just really just kind of disappointed with it. It was, and I concurred when I asked Chris. I said if he watched it, and he kind of had similar thoughts with it. So that was my first one. It's a Mortuary from 1982 with Christopher George, Linda Day George, and an early role for Bill Paxton. This one was a lot of fun. I did enjoy this, kind of a whodunit, or was a murder, was an accident really, or was it an accident or a murder with the main character's father? And I thought this was a kind of a fun whodunit. Kind of and everything with a little bit of slasher thrown into it for the mix too. So this one I thought was pretty fun.
I brought that up on our last show of what you were watching.
But I think I think this was on. I think I watched this on Tubi. I'm not totally sure. Let's see. Next was Revenge Night for me and the missus. So I watched Vigilante with Robert Forster, Fred the Hammer Williams, and Richard Bright, also played Al Neary in the three Godfather films. Joe Spinell has a really small role in this as like a greasy slimy lawyer in it. But a lot of fun. So many movies at this time period in the early 80s had these fighting back, taking the streets back type of vibe to them in cities and small towns and in America. And this one I thought was this one I had seen before, but this one was a lot of fun, and I did enjoy Vigilante from 1982. My next one, this is a movie called Margot. I recorded this from a free preview of the movie channel. No one really notable in this, and the plot of it is a group of six or eight college students go to on their spring break. They rent out a smart house, and of course the AI in the smart house goes haywire and won't let them leave. It has it scans them as soon as they walk in, and so to see their eyes, so that it knows through their social media, all the things that they like and don't like, and talks to them to get them drinks with these sort of Dr. Octopus arms that are in the kitchen. Has 3D printers everywhere, so it sort of makes these facsimiles of some of the people as it starts to kill them. Best part was a guy goes into has one of those massage chairs, kind of like the ones at an airport where it's, it squeezes you, and of course it squeezes him too much and he explodes. So that's pretty much the best part of the movie. Not really highly recommended. This actually has a higher Rotten Tomatoes score, and I was kind of surprised at that. This was just from a year or so ago. So again, this one was a little disappointing to me. Margot, which was the name of the AI in the house. Of course, one of the main characters is a computer tech whiz who manages to save the day for everyone. So that was that. I decided to fire up the Marvels, and it wasn't. I didn't think it was as bad as I thought that it might be. Although I think Brie Larson, Captain Marvel, seemed like she was kind of like didn't want to be there with her performance and everything. The other two actresses, Teyana Paris and Iman Vellani, I thought they were fine, but the biggest fault I had with it was that the villain, who was Dar Ben in this, was just really uninteresting and dull, and that just didn't do it for me. Short movie. It was only about an hour and 45 minutes or so. And as Jamie had mentioned in a prior episode, the bonus scene is pretty fun in this, when at the end, when it was her name, what, Photon or Spectrum or whatever, where she ends up in another area of the multiverse and comes across the Beast from the X-Men. So that was cool to at least see, but that was about it.
Save our franchise, Beast. We're losing money all over the
Yeah,
place.
bring a familiar face into it that's not Samuel L. Jackson.
Do you know Hugh Jackman? Have you got his number, please? Please.
I
And
will say Marvel Comics has hundreds of great villains. Why they can't seem to get villains correct in the movies other than Thanos is boggling my mind.
here late, yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they do a good job with Kingpin though.
Oh, he's great.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Vince D'Onofrio, and even actually Michael Clark Duncan was actually interesting as Kingpin, but Vince D'Onofrio tends to own that.
Amazing. Yeah, he's great. Hey, Jamie, real quick question on Mortuary. Do you have that? Did you get the MVD Blu-ray of that, or did you stream that?
Yeah, I got the Blu-ray.
How does it look? Pretty good?
Yeah, and as I mentioned last time we talked about it, I love how it starts with the play button and the blue screen, like you put a VCR tape in. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, I saw they just released that. I may have to get that, so because that's a fun film.
My question, Craig, is why did you watch Margot? That sounds like the most generic piece of shit I've ever heard in my life.
I had a free preview for some cable channels, and so it when I was reading the explanation for it, and then I looked up to see, and it said, and it, like I said, it had like a fairly high rating score, so I was like, oh, what the heck? And it's a short movie, so I just gave it a try, but yeah, it was just kind of dull.
See, that's how I got sucked into Twilight.
Luckily there wasn't six. Luckily there wasn't six of those though.
There'll be plenty Marvels around the corner. Don't you worry.
The last movie that I have is or for these streamings, I cannot recommend this movie enough, and it had basically everything in it. Plenty of violence, nudity all over the place, MILFs, lesbians, bestiality.
I'm sold.
It had everything.
This
And,
film-
Singing in the Rain?
Hold on. I got my pen.
it was,
Black Candle. Yeah.
I already have it. Forget it.
Yeah.
Well, and I streamed this from a free service called Plex, and nothing short of fantastic. This was like rolling a Yahtzee with one spin. I mean, it had everything. And actually the story wasn't all that bad either, with a couple after the death of her brother, goes to this house to I think to settle the estate, and it turns out there's like a devil's coven in there that's trying to take over people. It's just with everything that I had described earlier, and what had while I was maybe about halfway through the movie, I did what I think anyone out there, if they had the access to, would do. I texted Chris Allo, and I said, I'm watching this movie and wow. And of course, naturally, Chris said, I think I have a copy of that. So this was a wonderful movie, and like I said, it has pretty much everything in it. It's hard to read the little text there, but it says the film was made by Satan himself.
So exactly what the Blu-ray says is sex, depravity, and perversion in a movie seemingly made by Satan himself. There you go.
Yeah. Yes.
I gotta watch it again.
Severin has just sold me on that.
I didn't know he was in the Directors Guild.
Yeah, it's the two main actresses in it, Helga Line and Vedessa Hidalgo, are both mighty fine, and showing plenty of skin and enough wool to knit a sweater. So you'll definitely enjoy this, and for all the occult and the devil worship that's in it and everything.
Forget the
But,
bestiality.
it was, that too. That's where it was like, oh wow, that was where I had to text Chris and say, I can't believe what I'm watching. And of course, Chris said he had a copy. But
Told your mom, you'll get through it.
but yep. So that was my last one. Black Candles.
Interesting. All right.
Yeah, I gotta watch it again.
We need to rank the films of Satan one day.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, let me rip through some of these real quick here. So I took Davey's recommendation and I picked up and watched Spider Labyrinth. This is a wacky, fun film, especially like
last
the last
half hour.
like half hour, 40 minutes of
Yeah.
it. Whew. Crazy stuff. You guys haven't seen it, check it out. It's really, really good. Watch Davey talked all about it in a prior episode, so I'm not going to get into it here today. I picked, I saw a sale from our buddies at Diabolic DVD on these two films, and one of them we saw at a recent 24-hour show, and then another both these films by the same director. So I picked them up on Blu-ray. And then of course after I got them, they announced the 4Ks of both of them, because it's the way it always works with me. But Michael Soavi's The Church,
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
which
wow.
both of these films produced and written, I think, by Dario Argento, because he was like a Dario Argento disciple. And then The Sect. And I watched The Sect last night. A lot of fun, kind of like a weird, warped sci-fi version of Rosemary's Baby, sort of. Both of them are a lot of fun. And this also includes Kelly, what's her name? Kelly Curtis, who's Jamie Lee Curtis's oldest sister. Man, they talk exactly the same, and they kind of look a little bit alike. But both of these really cool, creepy, well done, stylish films. Good amount of gore, little bits of nudity, and just a lot of fun Italian films. If you like that sort of thing, I would highly recommend both of them. And they look great on Blu-ray. I don't know how good the 4Ks look, but those are just fine. I picked up Funeral Home on Blu-ray, which is just a weird kind of slasher psycho type of a film with the ending is just so head-scratchingly just bizarre, but the film is okay. It's not one of the best films out there, but it's definitely decent if you like that kind of like backwoods kind of horror type of thing. I picked up 4Ks for Dune, and I rewatched that because I went to go see the new film in the theater, which was amazing. But that's great on 4K.
So good.
Yeah, so good. I picked up Dr. Sleep on 4K. Really underrated film.
Good
That's
film,
the-
yeah.
And
I
that's
need
the
to
that's
see
the
it
director's
again.
cut too, the uncut version, right?
Yep, absolutely. Really good. Like that quite a bit. And I think we talked about this amongst ourselves, but I didn't talk about it on the show. This is one of the greatest looking 4Ks I've ever seen. Mad Max
I
Fury
agree.
Road. one of the most amazing 4Ks. Just unbelievable how great this film looks. I like the movie anyway, but man, 4K, it just jumps to life. And the last one I'll do for this round is I had to get it. 4K The Exorcist. Looks amazing. Looks amazing. And this is the 4-disc version, which it doesn't have the wealth of bonus stuff, but that's okay. And it's got all the versions of it. You got Blu-ray in here and the 4K. I will say the 4K looks amazing, and I love the new audio transfer. It's just so good.
Yeah, the
So,
audio, right.
yeah. So there you go. Back to Jamie.
All right. I was looking it up while you guys were talking. That lead guy in Destroy All Neighbors is Jonah Ray. Should get that
Jonah
right.
Ray.
There he is.
Okay,
See, he
there we
looks
go.
very nerdy.
Yeah.
So I realized not too long ago, I don't have any Amicus movies.
Really?
Yeah. So I busted out the old phone like I normally do. And I found this French collection here where it's all in French. Have you guys seen this before?
No.
Yeah, I've seen it in my travels. Yeah.
All the writings in French. There is no English on this thing. But the movies it has: Madhouse, The Vault of Horror, Asylum, Tales from the Crypt, The House That Dripped Blood, Scream and Scream Again, Dr. Terror's House of Horrors. So you get 7 movies and it's $51.
Man.
So that's not bad. No one's going to mistake these for 4K. There are dirty spots on the film, you see it, but they're good enough. And you have to change, some of them are dubbed in French and you have to change it, and subtitles you got to take off. So there's a few buttons you got to push before you watch the movie. But for $51, all these movies I thought was pretty good. Screaming and Screaming Again is not that great though, I will say.
No, it's a really weird fucking police procedural sci-fi movie.
Yeah, it doesn't work for me. And Peter Cushing is so wasted in that movie. I mean,
Yeah.
for 2.5 minutes. And yeah, I never saw that one. And going in, I was like, oh, Vincent Price, Peter Cushing, and Christopher Lee. Oh, wow. Oh, this sucks.
Stick to House of Long
but everything
Shadows.
else on here is solid. Great. So yeah, got that. Go find it if you want that. Remember when Davey said he doesn't like the Mummy, the first Hammer Mummy movie?
Mhm.
I just think it's massively overrated.
Yeah, overrated. Well, I was like, God, I haven't seen it in forever. I got to see if it still holds up in my brain. And that Blu-ray is out of print and hard to get. It's only on DVD. So I'm looking at normal Blu-rays and they're pricey. I'm like, if I'm going to get it on Blu-ray and spend some money, I might as well get the version Davey had and just get the nice. Who put this out, Davey?
Second Sight.
Yes, Second Sight. So yeah, so I got this and I watched it, and I don't think it's overrated. Not in my brain, anyways. I think it's pretty solid. But I never saw any of the sequels, so I got all the sequels:
Nice.
Mummy's Ghost and the Mummy's Curse on one, and this one has the.
Well, those are our
Revenge of the
Universal
Person.
ones.
Yes. Oh, what?
Mummy's
Ghost
Ghost.
and Mummy's Curse.
Those aren't
I think
Hammers.
it's
Those are
Shroud of the Mummy, or there's about 3 of them out there on Hammer.
Curse of the Mummy's Tomb.
Right.
Oh, these are
Shroud.
Those are Universals, Jamie.
they are Universal. What the hell did I do?
Oops.
But it has Peter Cushing's face on there.
Did you buy it from China? Just kidding.
Wait a minute. Oh, I am. Yeah, because now I'm gonna look at this while you guys talk, and I'm gonna figure this shit out.
Hey,
Why?
straighten this up. You're in upper management now, okay? Please
I know.
get on track.
Take this
What
out
a
for your
strange
dog.
choice to go back to black and white and make everything look 25 years
Yeah,
old.
and I have these,
Where's,
and I own
Where's
these. So
where's Anton differing?
let me look into that and see what the hell.
What's the one with the good underboob? Is that Curse of the Mummy's
Curse of the
Tomb?
Mummy's Tomb,
Yeah.
yeah.
She's got good
So what are
underboob.
what are the other Curse of the Mummy's Tomb, and what's the other sequels?
The
to
Mummy
this?
Shroud.
Mummy Shrouds.
His hand or
There's,
something.
there's 3 of them.
But there's 4 in total.
God, see, they all start sounding alike to me. That's the problem.
How many
There's
do
a
you have
mummy
on
in all
the,
of them.
How many do you have on the blue one there?
Is that not Peter Cushing? I mean,
No,
No,
that's not
no.
that's
it looks like him.
no, that's that. It looks like him, but it's no, it's the actor. I can't remember his name.
Plus,
Yeah.
see next to his name where it says Universal. That's It's a bit of a clue as well.
Does anyone want
Johnny, it's
this?
Johnny Cushing, his
Johnny
cousin.
It was only $11.
Okay, all right.
That's
So
not
it's not-
bad.
Hank Cushing.
Hank Cushing.
So how
I
many,
think I
Jamie?
saw
How many is
that,
on the? How many is on the
Peter
actual
Cushing
demo?
lookalike
How many is
and
on the
just
demo?
bought it and fuck. All right, so on to Coraline. I bought this because I heard good things. Neil Gaiman wrote it, and anytime he's tagged to anything, my ears kind of pop up. But it came out in 2011. Never saw it. Heard really good things about the 4K. So I took a chance on it. It's all right. It's a slow burn. It looks great. The problem is it's a little too kiddish for horror fans and a little too horror for kids.
Yeah.
So it just kind of falls in the middle there a little bit. But it's okay. And I want to ask you guys, would you buy Black Widow on 4K?
No.
Ever buy it on 4K? Would you buy it for $2? Because I found it for $2.
I'd buy it for 2 and sell it for 3.
Yeah.
I have it too. Don't feel bad.
Yeah, I'll keep it. And and not really related, but I've been watching a lot of Cheers. I bought this.
Yes,
Wow.
I'd buy that for 150 because I did.
Yeah. All on
Yeah.
Blu-ray. And the box came ripped because it's flimsy as hell.
Son
And
of
the
a
box
bitch.
came ripped, and I called Amazon, and I said, hey, the box is destroyed. Instead of me just returning it and you sending a new one, why don't you just give me a discount on this? And they just gave it to me for free. So I got it for free.
Wow. Yeah. Amazon's got really good customer service across the board.
You think they would take this back?
Probably would.
You have a 30-day return.
Try it.
Almost like
Damn
renting.
it. What a rookie mistake.
We expected more from you, Jamie.
Yeah,
No,
that's
I'm,
a demotion in the
Peter's
monsters.
calling
Then
up
I'm
a board
afraid.
meeting right now.
Yeah.
You know, since you're upper
I
management.
was like,
now.
why are they
Yeah.
both for $11?
Yeah.
Duh.
That's corporate malfeasance.
So you could have bought the Mummy complete set, all 4 films, I think now for like $20 on the Blu-ray, right? If you did
Yeah.
a Mummy collection on Universal, so yeah.
I know.
Whereas
Oh,
the
I
original
finally
movie's
got to,
not overrated.
Just before we started taping, I finally ended season 2 on the Rockford Files. It took me 2 years. So I'm watching it in like real time of when it was broadcast back in the 70s. It took me 2 years to get through 2 seasons. So that's where I'm at on that.
There's a lot of James Garner on the show tonight. This is fun.
Like James Garner night.
All right, Chris, over to you.
Okay, Dan had mentioned Ozploitation. So one of my movies was an Ozploitation film that I first heard about on the documentary Not Quite Hollywood.
That's the doc.
That's the one.
And it's from 1990, obviously an Australian film called Blood Moon. And this was fucking terrible. This was like a slasher movie made by people who never saw a fucking slasher movie. There's a bunch of killings going on in an all-girls school in Australia. There's some good nudity, but it's over 100 minutes long, which is like probably 30 minutes longer than it needs to be. There's this huge subplot of like the townie kids versus the kids that are going to a local college there. It was just fucking terrible. Brian May did the score, not the Queen Brian May, but the Mad Max Brian May. Probably the most interesting thing about it is that the movie has a fright break. So about, I don't know, like 80 minutes into the movie, or maybe 90 minutes into the movie, there's a fright break, which is like a 5-minute intermission. If you're too scared, which of course you're not, because this movie sucks, you could have left the theater when you saw this in Australia. But it's amazing this thing even played theaters because it was shit. So save your money on that.
It's like the werewolf break from.
It
Yes.
is now time for the werewolf break.
Right, and that's the is that the Beast Must Die?
Beast must
Yeah.
die. Yep.
Yeah, which that sucked, but that's a lot better than this.
Oh, it's
At least
fucking
that's a great
brilliant.
cast. But
Calvin Lockhart.
let's see. My second one was Scorchy, 1976 from AIP, starring lots of 70s folks like Connie Stevens, William Smith, and even an appearance from BJ and the Bears, Greg Evigan. Connie Stevens plays like a Dirty Harry kind of cop, except she fucks a lot. And she's got a really dirty mouth, and it was kind of hot. And it was kind of not the greatest movie, but it's fun. She jumps in bed, she chases narcotics people, she shoots a lot of folks. So I dug it. It is quick, and she got a good nude scene. And speaking along those lines, my last pick was from 1972, "Sweet Sugar," starring
yeah.
the always entertaining Phyllis Davis. And there are two great reasons to watch this movie, and that is, of course, the left one and the right one.
Phyllis Davis and Phyllis
Yeah.
Davis too. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, by far, the best two scenes in this movie are the two nude scenes that Phyllis Davis does. It's basically a Filipino women in prison film, but this one is very different because instead of being in the Philippines, it's in Costa Rica. But definitely entertaining. It's got all the usual tropes of a early 1970s women in prison flick. And Vinegar Syndrome did a great restoration on this
I've
a
done
couple
one
years
of-
back, and there you go.
She goes.
You didn't throw out the slipcover, did you, Pete?
I never got it.
Oh, all right, that's all right
Yeah.
then. And yeah,
While we're
that's
on that, while we're
that's-
on that, speaking of Phyllis Davis, go check out Terminal Island.
Oh,
too.
Terminal Island. That's a
Oh,
great
yeah,
one too.
That's a good one.
That's a blast.
That's what isn't that
That's Tom
Tom
Selleck.
Selleck's in that?
Yep.
Yep, and Roger Mosley, or the
Yes.
yes,
Played
both.
played TC right in
Yep.
in Magnum PI. Yeah, those are two classics. So yeah, those were my picks.
Both good films. Cool. All right, Davey.
Well, the curse is indeed real.
Yes.
Because I think I've got these both, all three of them on Blu-ray 4 times. But Umbrella announced another box set with Hammer movies. And again, I've got these so many bloody times, but Phantom of the Opera, Night Creatures, and Shadow of the Cat, and a triple feature. And it's got all new extras and things. So I thought, just take my money, take my fucking money. Just stop it, stop it. Just, and as usual, it comes with like postcards and poster, all that kind of stuff. They don't even fit in the box. There's no room for them. What do I do with this? Just stick it on and hope for the best. I mean, it does nothing, but I'm not going to send these postcards to anyone. Useless tat. But yeah, I don't think I need to review Phantom of the Opera, Night Creatures, and Shadow of the Cat. We must have talked about those on a million different shows in a million different ways. But
Nice
Night
looking
Creatures-
box. That was a nice looking box.
Yeah, 1,000 copies they've done of this. Nice little presentation. Night Creatures, of course, is better known, I think, as Captain Clegg, one of my favorite Peter Cushing performances. Not Hank Cushing, I'm afraid, what everybody decided. But Peter Cushing's brilliant as Captain Clegg. One that I don't really think I need to talk about because I think at some point we'll do a show about this guy. And I know that Pete and Chris both picked this up as well. Paul Nash's
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Dr. Jekyll and the
I watched-
Werewolf,
haven't
Um,
watched mine yet.
which is
Really
I'm
good.
sure at some point we'll do a favorite Nash's movie or something. We could not do a complete Nash's show that would be 19 hours long. But this is what, number 6 of 12 of the Werewolf
Yeah.
saga, something like that. It's like right in the middle. Fun. Again, we'll go into it at some point, I'm sure. One that pissed me the fuck off because I really, really enjoyed it is the Clones of Bruce Lee.
Oh yeah.
So
I gotta see that.
why would it piss me the fuck off? Because this was released by Memory Lane, Shoreline Entertainment, so nobody's, and it's just out. Severin announced that it's going to be part of an epic Clones of Bruce Lee box set that's coming out later in the year with loads of Bruceploitation stuff in it.
Fuckers.
And this has literally just been released, so this should fuck right off. I don't mind when you've got something for years or when you're buying an old disc, but something like that came out in February and then in March they announced a new version. Fuck that.
I know.
Fuck that for a game of soldiers.
Yeah, I just heard that Bruce Lay is being brought to America for a tour. They're doing the Alamo Draft Houses, and I believe they're showing that and some of his, some of his Bruce
Yeah.
exploitation films.
Bruce
For
Lee.
anyone who doesn't know, that is essentially the Avengers for Bruce exploitation, because it brings together Bruce Lee with one E, and Dragon Lee, I think his name is.
Dragon Lee at one point, yeah.
So it brings together the three Bruce Lee clones, although there was a million more. I don't know if you've ever seen the Dragon Strikes Back, I think it's called, where Bruce Lee fights Popeye in hell.
Oh, that's
Yes,
amazing! I
that-
saw
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I saw that in the theater in the city. That
Yes.
was crazy.
Yeah.
It fights Don Corleone and James Bond.
James Bond,
It's fucking mental, man. Absolutely. That will never be released. Imagine trying to clear those rights, trying to get Coppola to sign off for a Bruce Lee film where he fights, or not a fake Bruce Lee, but he fights Don Corleone in hell.
Yeah, but the thing about the Chinese have never signed copyright agreements on things, so they do.
Yeah.
They've been able to produce model kits of Batman and looks just like them, and they've never really signed an international copyright law.
They've got nothing on those Italians, though. They love a good ripoff. They love it. A film that I'm sure again we've mentioned on the den before. It's a 4K upgrades. Jamie just mentioned Second Sight's lovely additions. Possessor, Brandon Cronenberg's second film. We did his third film as an episode, didn't we? Infinity Pool. Yeah, I'm sure we did it full episode. Actually, I thought I had the early onset dementia there. But yeah, as usual, massive box set just for this one release with a 200-page book with a complete script and things, poster, the usual kind of tap.
What label is that on, Davey?
Second Sight. Brilliant transfer.
We lost your mic connection, Davey.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Can you hear me now? So yeah, brilliant transfer of a great film. I think Brandon Cronenberg's 3 for 3, Antiviral, Possessor, and Infinity Pool.
Possessor just gets better and better as it goes along, as you watch.
Yeah. And essentially got a few similarities to Suitable Flesh thematically, but much more hard sci-fi version, I'd say. But anyway, yes. This is the kind of thing that we live for, is the discovery of total crap that turns out to be gold. So I bought this Blu-ray to get William Griffith's Mako, The Jaws of Death.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the Jaws exploitation film where essentially it sticks up for the sharks. So it was released right after Jaws, and the leading man in it is
Richard Jekyll.
yeah, and Richard Jekyll. How do you explain it? He swims with the sharks and they don't eat him. And then we get the backstory about an hour into the film where it turns out that he was in a shipwreck, a lot of shipwrecks in uphill tonight, where he nearly drowned and sharks kind of rescued him, and then he got an amulet from an old wise man once he was swept onto shore for surviving a shark, and then that means that he's got shark immunity forever.
Wow.
And yeah,
And once you're in
right,
that community, you're set for life.
yeah,
Craig,
so
I was going to say they played that at an Exhumed X Fest a couple years back. Maybe you missed that one, but it's a fun one.
It's fun. But it's B movie fun. You kind of know what you're getting. What I didn't know what I was getting was the film that I wasn't buying this for, which is Bog from 1979.
Oh
Bog.
yeah.
Right. And I sent this earlier, just a little 6-second clip of it to the group chat.
Oh,
This film, it is. Do you know those bad movies that Dan often likes to surmise, these 70s bad B movies with awful dialogue that seem to be written by people that haven't heard humans talking before? It's that, the movie. Nobody in it seems to have ever met a human being before. Everybody acts bizarrely. I mean, a film about a bog creature that's killing people locally has a kind of country music ballad as its theme tune that happens throughout the movie. It stars Gloria DeHaven, who's a kind of debutante actress in the 40s and whatnot. Marshall Thompson, yeah, and Aldo Ray, who was usually the heavy in things. And the romance is between them. So an old woman and an old guy, that's the romantic couple. So if you're hoping for any boobs in this, then don't, because it's 60-year-old boobs you'd be getting. But the dialogue in it is just so bizarre. I mean, I sent you the clip of her saying the infamous line, which apparently everybody it's on t-shirts when I looked it up. When she's the pathologist and she goes into the lab and says, this is the results of what's killing these people out in the bog, and it's draining them of their blood. And he says, well, that could only be one thing. And she says, are you telling me we could have some sort of Dracula out there? Which just cracked me the fuck. Why does she say Dracula and not vampire? Some kind of Dracula out there? I don't know.
Sounds like they had the same script supervisor on Slithers. So
no, I think Slithers would be written by Mankiewicz compared to this. This is Citizen Kane
I watched
references.
this on Shudder like over the holidays just because I was skimming through and I saw it and I was like, oh, this looks interesting. Davey is 100% right. This film is awful.
Is this
Awful.
the one where when you finally see the monster, it looks like a black garbage bag in the water?
Yes, they are ashamed of what they've created, so they
You got all these
barely
people
let you
walking
see
around
it.
the woods, walking around the water throughout the whole movie like they don't know what's going on.
They showed this at an Exhumed 24-hour horror movie marathon. The one time I saw it, yeah, I always remember the monster, and it was pretty
It's got
bad.
all the tropes of like a teen movie where it should be a bunch of teens lost in the woods, except they're played by people in their 50s as well. So it's like watching the cast of Cocoon doing a Friday the 13th or something. Like, why are these people so old?
watch that.
This is just bizarre. And then the dialogue's just gloriously bad.
Davy's
And
selling me. I think I need to buy this
Yeah.
disc.
I think
Trying to
this is
sell them.
this is a
Trying to
brilliant
sell them.
Blu-ray.
I think it's
I
on
think-
it's on Shudder, Chris.
Okay.
Never mind your streaming. Buy this Blu-ray and support some physical media
Support the
because you get it restored from a 35mm negative, which means nothing because it could be a shit negative. That means absolutely nothing. It's restored from an original negative. But you get a press gallery for Bog. Bog's got a 2K scan, but Mako's only from the original 35 negative with extensive color correction. I'm not sure how much they had to color correct, but this is a fun double bill of total shit.
There he is
Total-
with the big yellow eyes and it looks
Yeah.
like a garbage bag. There he is.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's the monster.
And that's some kind of Dracula up there. Wonderful. Just she's worth it alone, Gloria DeHaven. She's got no fucking idea what movie she's in, which always improves a film for me when you have an old film star who has no idea what horror even means and just is going with it. Just going with it. Shall I throw anything else in? Okay, why not that last one? In fact, look, I had the Blu-ray of Football Flesh.
There you go. Look at that.
Another conglomerate of crap is the Eurocin Collection Volume 1, which is full of Jess Franco stuff, which, yeah, that could sound good, but it's Jess Franco's 80s shit with like Sybil Danning, Linne Romay, is that Lena Romay? Never remember her name.
Lynn Romay?
Yes.
Lynn Romay.
Robert Ginty pops up about 5 times, because of course he does. Bose Fenson's in here. You get things like Panther Squads, terrible. But the reason I got it was Night of the Eagles, which has got Christopher Lee and Mark Hamill. So this rather bizarre shaped box is 6 movies, which apparently this is how some films came out in these big boxes in VHS. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, why? Such
Yeah,
a
there
stupid.
was like a cushing around the tape.
Yeah.
Big
Big
cardboard.
box,
That's
big box, your
yeah,
eyes went towards it, you know?
yeah. What was the
Plus
point of that?
to differentiate it traditionally, porn VHS tapes were in the bigger boxes.
Yeah,
I
well,
think so. It could be easier not to rob them, I think.
Yeah, well, that could be.
Yeah, could be.
maybe they stood out more or something.
Like Wizard Video, a few of the other ones said
Yeah.
put out those
Well,
boxes. And they're desirable.
funny you mention that because look who this is. Wizard
There it
Video.
is, Wizard
There you go,
Video.
Wizard
That's my
Video.
case.
So yeah, early Charles Band, who has again been mentioned on 1,000,001 Monsters then. And then I will round off with the this week released Doctor Who season 15 with Tom Baker, which
Wow.
the way they do these sets is just remarkable. Stunning stuff. I put them in these protective sleeves to look after them. But yeah, brilliant restoration of stuff that you'd think, how could that be restored this well, considering the quality? Chris, you'll notice this is the era that's got Leela in it, the
That's
Savage Girl.
my favorite Doctor Who stuff right there.
Yeah,
Is that the whole time? Is that his whole entire series? That box?
Oh no, this is one of Tom's series, and he's got 7, and there are 26 in the classic series. So you can imagine how much. You can imagine how much Doctor Who shelf room takes up.
They're always available in the US and it was just so expensive, and they've always been erratic on how they put them out in the US.
They're all out on Blu-ray as normal editions in the US. You don't get that fancy box for some reason. Different distributors, but yeah, there you go. So that'll do me.
All right. Whew. All right. Dan, Craig, and myself, let's bust out of this.
Okay, well, let's see. This next film I'm going to bring up is something that if I won the Super Bowl, I say I would watch as opposed to going to Disneyland, and a situation that ever happened to you, you'd never be able to explain yourself out of it. And that is the Soska sisters. Dead hooker in a trunk.
Oh.
The Soska sisters are like goth twin sisters. They're kind of like, they're happy of being females as opposed to the Wachowski brothers who decided after The Matrix they're going to just change it all up. And they're like kind of like the Coen brothers of horror. They've been around. Dead Hooker in a Trunk is not a great film. It's about 4 friends, the Soska sisters. One's an instrumentalist, a rock band, a punk band, and it's about they wake up and there's a dead hooker in the trunk and they're trying to get rid of it the whole time. And they're just running into these mishaps. It's kind of like badly timed comedy. But what makes this film so great is it's their first film they ever made. It was a graduate film from film school, and it was made for $2,500. And it actually plays off much richer than that as far as in the cinematography. It's not bad. It's a bit off the wall. I'm really not going too much into it, but the Soska sisters have brought us also American Mary. A number. They also had a contract with one of the wrestling organizations to make films. I think one was Vendetta with Dean Cain, and I can't remember the wrestler's name, and a few other things. And they also did a remake or a re-envisioning of Rabid.
Yeah, that was a good film.
By the David Cronenberg film. And I don't know if David Cronenberg's ever weighed in on it, but it's actually not. It's their re-envisioning. It's actually quite good. Well done. And they are actually responsible for starting what they now call Canucksploitation, which is Canadian. Yeah, that's another genre within genres. We're like breeding off into different species as we speak. So that's a Dead Hooker in a Trunk. Not great, but to see somebody's first film that got them notice and launched their career, you can't go wrong with it. They were inspired by the original film Desperado, in which the director and the star of the original El Mariachi, the director Carlos Galando, has a bit part in it playing God, or a character named God. So interesting watch. Okay, had to go back into the past and just show how old I am. This is the film that, inspired Quentin Tarantino. It inspired any number of things. Norman Reedus wants to remake this. You could see even in Blue Velvet, you wonder if David Lynch was inspired with a dancing scene in Blue Velvet where the fat lady's on top of the car dancing. And that is the one, the only Faster Pussycat Kill Kill.
Hey.
This is, and the entire, it's 3 tough women It's fast cars. It's buxom, bosomy women. It's karate. It's fucking bunch of mental misogynist men in the film. They're just on people getting run over, killed, a lot of fighting. I can't get into it. It's unless you're really familiar with it, you have to sit and watch it and understand for what it was and what it showed to us. And this is truly an independent film that put really Russ Meyer on the map somewhat, at least in the cult world. And it wasn't until I think he did Beyond the Valley of the Dolls, which was a big studio thing, which is totally whacked, which he was never happy with. But this is the film that just set it straight. And it's a classic. It's been reviewed now as something that really started the genre of the tough women roles. And women were always strong in his films. Great transfer. They're very hard to find. I have a box set of all of his films out of Europe. I just happen next to this. It is Region Zero. The thing goes for like $500 now. His whole film catalog is tied up in such legal litigation.
Yeah.
You probably will never see it come out. And it's due to the people that were around him at the end of his life. He had no children, and he put them out for a number of years. They were hot commodities in video stores on the Boozomania label on VHS, and those fetch big money. So if you see one of these floating around or catch it on streaming, catch it, because you probably will never see it as classic as it is ever being put out in 4K or 2K or even in any other release.
To anyone who does want it, the Russ Meyer box set came out from Arrow, and it's really recommended.
Yes.
And they did do Beyond the Valley of the Dolls in Blu-ray, but that's about it for him on
I've got the
Blu-ray.
box set on DVD. I can't remember another company that put it out, which has they were always a hot commodity in the world of home video in the 80s, just finding them. And
yeah,
had a certain attraction to women. What can I say? Both of them, whatever it was. Anyhow, the next one, this was a surprising film that I really enjoyed. Brought to my attention, seeing it on streaming, looking at it one day, I was like, let me watch this. And let me tell you something, I was totally jaw dropped and like wowed with this one. It came out something I did not expect from the director of Bone Tomahawk and Dragged Across Concrete is
Riot and Cell Block.
Yeah, Brawl and Cell Block 99. I mean, all you guys apparently have seen or are familiar with it. This was a shock.
Trailer.
I did not expect it to be that good as far as just gritty, grimy. Vince Vaughn is in the beginning of the film. He comes home. He's gotten fired from a job at a body shop. Comes home. He sees that his wife, who is played by Deborah, the actress who played Dexter's sister in the TV series Dexter.
Jennifer Carpenter?
Yes. Found out she was cheating on him. He goes out and literally pulls like the Hulk, taking his frustration out on a Prius. I mean, just goes to town, breaking it to death. He then cuts it, and he goes and tells his wife, let's work this out. And then cuts to a couple of years later. He's been running drugs. They have a nice house. She's pregnant. A drug deal goes awry. He's a runner for drugs. He picks them up and drives them back and forth. Something goes wrong with the Colombian cartel leader or the drug lord, and one of his guys is killed. Another guy goes to jail, as well as the Colombian drug lord, as does Vince Vaughn. While the drug lord is in prison, or in the prison, he says to Vince Vaughn, I need you to kill somebody. Therefore, he has to get him into Cell Block 99, which is the worst of the worst. It's like a Spanish Inquisition prison. It's dirt floors, dim lights, just boom. Don Johnson from Miami Vice plays the warden, comes off like a Texas Ranger. It's just kind of bizarre. But man, there is enough teeth spray, blood spray, crushed heads. Never seen a decapitation in a floor toilet, but it does happen. Just wild. It really made me say, like, Vince Vaughn, who played all these comical films, over the years in his early part of his career, I was like, he plays a badass or a dangerous guy very well on film. I enjoyed this. Quite shocking, quite surprising. And then finally, not this, I didn't watch it, but that's another film that Vince Vaughn is in called Arkansas. Could have been a great film about the drug business in the South. Kind of fell short in many respects, but once again, Vince Vaughn plays a badass in this, a drug lord or a guy who's just running a drug business out of like an antique shop. It's made me want to see. Now I'm realizing, Vince Vaughn, he's been doing these films. It makes me want to revisit True Detective season 2.
Yeah.
Even though it
I
didn't
thought you
was
were going
not
to say
good.
it makes you want to run drugs.
What's that? Makes one that too.
That's what
But
where I thought you were
but
going.
From
anyhow,
his antique store.
but just to see because he
Take it
played
out in a
Astro.
Prius.
And at first when he came, I think people were unsettled by that. It's like this Vince Vaughn was in, what's any number of those
Dodgeball.
ball, because so it comes. Now the final one is something that the actress Vera Farmiga, I think it is, who played Mother Bates in the Bates Motel TV series, been in a number of other films, very attractive blonde woman. She has a lead in this role, and she said, "This is a film where he's so used to seeing Paul Walker of Fast and Furious playing the good-looking blonde-haired guy. This is the film to see." And that's a film that kind of came and went, lost oodles of money. Running Scared.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Running Scared is basically, it's a very much of a Quentin Tarantino type early 2000s heavy kinetic odd coloring. It's about a fellow. The beginning of the film, it starts out where a guy grabs a kid, jumps into a Mustang, and is riding through the streets to a hospital or whatever it is. See, there's something is not right, and then it goes back 18 hours before, and so this whole story unloads in 18 hours, in which a drug deal gone bad with crooked cops come in to rob some drugs. Paul Walker is there. You wonder why he takes one of the pistols from the raid, goes into his house. He has a safe where he puts all of these guns, and they're in plastic. Well, next door neighbor, this Russian kid who's the best friend with his son, steals one of the guns. And this is a gun that could implicate a particular mobster that he's working for. And it's this fast, kind of like an Akira Kurosawa on crystal meth, stray dog film about looking for the stolen pistol. And he goes through this entire just gunplay. I mean, the actors in this, Chaz Palminteri, a guy named Johnny Messner, who's been in a number of films, big TV star at one point, gravelly voice. It's got Michael Cudlitz from Walking Dead, who played Abraham in a small role. It's got the fellow who played John Noble, I believe, who, if everyone saw the show The Fringe, he played like the eccentric professor character. It's a who's who in this thing. It's just high kinetic. The kid runs away at one point, and then he goes on this really surreal Alice in Wonderland type adventure at night, and he runs into a pimp who somehow gets the gun, and he runs into he's hiding in a dumpster, and this very attractive older couple come and pick him up, and they're fucking pedophiles, and he brings them back to their house, and they have to track him down. So it becomes like this nightmarish story in the middle. But it just goes, lots of gunplay. There's a scene in a ice rink in which it's under black light, creative things to do with somebody's face down in the ice with a hockey puck. Things like that. Just violent, over the top, bombed horribly. Paul Walker is excellent in this film. And you find out who his real identity is at the end, to the point where it bombed, and he was very depressed. And the story goes that actually Quentin Tarantino called him after he saw the film and did nothing but praise his film and said he loved the movie. So whatever it was, it's an interesting feather in the Paul Walker, other than Fast and Furious. And it's a film, once again, you see it, you'll be surprised at how good this is and how high octane this energy is in this film. And there you go. Runs 2 hours and 2 minutes. Couple of weird little spots, but overall, you don't notice happening. It just doesn't stop once shit happens. Running Scared. Blows available on Blu-ray, DVD, not a break the bank scenario.
Greg.
Real quick, since I have a 4K player now,
Oh, have you? Do
Oh, yeah,
you
Reminded
really?
us many
Yeah.
times. Yes, Craig. We know.
since I just a couple things to piggyback on what Pete had said earlier. I had gotten the Mad Max anthology, so this has all 4 of the movies in here. And I agree with what Pete said, because these movies are so bright, they come across so well in 4K. Being in the desert and or in the outback or of them. Even the first movie looks great in 4K, but definitely Road Warrior, Beyond Thunderdome, and Fury Road look excellent, and they all have or 3 of the 4 have Atmos sound, so they really sound nice. And
I'm excited for the new one.
Yeah, that comes out in May?
Me.
Yeah.
Furiosa, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's starring in that?
Anya Taylor-Joy.
Anya Taylor-Joy. Yeah. And the last one was just a set that I had gotten since I wanted to get the first movie, but it was cost effective to get a whole set of these. I had gotten the Predator 4 movie collection, so I got and it also comes with all the Blu-rays. So this thing is stacked with 8 discs inside here. So I have a soft spot for Predator 2, and
Love Predator 2.
you know,
Predator
and
2 is fun.
and
Fucking voodoo magic, man.
Yeah,
That's it, yeah.
Predators plural is a lot of fun, but the Predator is borderline terrible and
shitter, yeah.
unwatchable.
That's
We
awful.
did a ranking of this on. I checked my dates in June 30th of 22. So
That was 2 years
go-
ago.
yeah,
Wow.
visit your go back to your
Time
playlist,
machine.
playlist and find that. We also did one of the
Great.
early Monsters Den that I did March 17th of 22. We did film favorites of Paul Naschy. So go back and check your
Well, we
playlist.
also did the other Predator film, Prey. Don't forget
Prey as
that.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which,
well,
by
this
the
was-
way, don't miss out on the 4K of that. It looks amazing.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
And we're getting another one. So
Yep.
and that's all. That's it.
That's a great set. I bought that set when it first came out. It did not.
And it was
It's
cheap
not a break
too.
the bank scenario. It's reasonably priced.
It was like $31 for 4 movies.
How much was your Mad Max set? I never.
I got that on eBay. I got the guy down to like $30 or something like that.
Yeah, I bought them. I know only one missing is Mad Max. I bought them as separates because they go on sale on.
They don't have a lot of extras in them, really, or much of it, commentary or anything like that. But they're great just visually watching them. Yeah.
All right, real quick. These are mostly just 4K upgrades on stuff that we've already talked about before, but I finally did track down a copy of The Wicker Man, which Davey talked about in a prior episode. This looks so good.
so
Holy
good.
cow. So good. It was worth the, I don't know, 40.
Does break the bank though.
Yeah, I was able to get a pretty good price one, but all the other
Okay.
ones I've seen have been like major cost wise. But yeah, it's if you can get it for less than $50, I would say get it. It's worth it.
If you can get it for $1,000, it's worth it.
I don't know about that. Swamp Thing. This is one of those kind of
Nice.
like VHM rewind, MVD rewind things, which is kind of a neat little idea there, right? Great transfer on
Don't
that.
throw out that slipcase.
No, see that, Chris? You proud of me? Come on.
Out the flip case.
You've come
I
a
love
long way,
Adrian
What-
Barbeau was
you've
great.
I
come a
just
long
paid
way.
$37 for one, basically.
For a slipcase?
Well, the case that goes around the Hitchcock movies,
Yeah.
the
Oh, yeah,
box.
exactly. I was able to get this for a nice price over at Barnes and Noble.
Nice.
Conan, the
Nice
original.
price in Barnes and Noble. I didn't know that went hand in hand.
Well, they've had a good price on some of their 4Ks of late. So
Yeah.
what can I tell you? It was pretty good. So that's a really good set. Loads of great extras on that. Really good. And then 2 more recent sci-fi things. Interstellar by Mr. Nolan. Man, this looks great in 4K. Such a cool movie. One of my favorites from Christopher Nolan. No, who's two? Oh, come on, Jamie. Yeah, great
Oh.
cast. McGonagall.
You'll never forgive Christopher Nolan for Oppenheimer, will you, Jim?
No, I guess not. I guess not.
I just
I
probably
still
saw-
haven't
No.
forgiven him for that last Batman movie, so fuck
No.
him.
No.
Who cares? We've had enough shit Batmans.
And then The Martian in 4K, Ridley Scott.
I like that one.
Cool movie. It's kind of a long, slow build of a movie, but man, the last half of it is just really well done. It looks just gorgeous in 4K. So yeah, that's all I got. I mean, there's others, but we'll save them for another time.
And while you guys were talking, I ordered all the right mummies.
Nice.
So would you get them all separately? Because I know there is a
I
separate-
got one on Shout and I got one on eBay. So they'll be like a week and a half
There
from
you
when
go.
I would probably come in.
You didn't waste any time there, right?
No, because I was
Yeah.
angry at myself. That
Yeah.
lingering brain fart that I had in my head for the last 2 weeks.
It
None of them are owned by the same company. So again, people that want there's always
Yeah.
people. Why can't we have a complete Dracula
There's
box
no
set?
Hammer box set, yeah.
There's no such thing.
Yeah.
It just will never happen.
Don't worry, Jamie. I did the same thing recently. I was like all excited. I saw like Poltergeist in 4K. I'm like, oh great, I gotta order it. I ordered it.
Oh, is the
And then I
remake?
went over to the shelf to go grab the Blu-ray so I could sell it, and there's the 4K sitting on the shelf already.
Oh,
Oh, I've done that.
Like, when
Yeah.
did I buy that? I don't remember buying it. Like, oh, well.
Where'd that come from? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but you
I
didn't
know.
get the remake, did you?
What's that?
You didn't get the remake at least, though.
No, I'm no interest in that. No, that was the original. But so
Hey, I have two of that recent Nashi one. Reason being is I remember Chris said it was coming out on 4K. I went out, I ordered it, and I could not find for the life of me a receipt from them on my computer. This and that. Then I realized um, this Nashi thing, it's out there. I never got it. And everybody got it the last minute. They sent it to us. And I'm going like, shit. So I was able to get one on eBay, for like $40, which is not crazy, and then all of a sudden the one I ordered shows up like 3 days later. But I didn't, I know, because I know once it goes from 40, next thing you know, the week later, it's like you're buying like pork bellies in the commodities market. It just, next thing you know, it's up to 60, which is insane. That's what ruins the whole business, personally, myself.
It's sold out, so yeah, you might as well hold on to it for a while and see what happens.
it also happens all the time with these pre-orders, right? Anytime you do these pre-orders and then like it doesn't come in for like 4 months and you forget, did I order it? Did I not order it? You go look
Oh,
at
I
it.
keep
yeah.
a list. I keep a list of absolute
I had ordered the Abyss. Now it's not coming out till May. It was supposed to come out March, I believe.
Yeah.
Aliens, I'm not going to see for another month, sometime in April, according to that. But they're supposed to come out, and
I heard True Lies
show.
looks like shit, like Terminator 2 bad.
That's what I
Yeah.
heard.
I heard it too, yeah.
So,
And James Cameron supervised it, so what the fuck?
yeah.
What the fuck?
Did they ever fix that Coffin Joe set?
Yes, literally the last 2 weeks they have fixed that issue. So
Because
it should be
I had
back
the
on
old
sale.
DVD version of that. There was a DVD version that was Region 2 that came out years ago that had, a lot of his stuff. Debating whether to upgrade it because it is Coffin Joe. So
And the two I didn't mention, Blood and Satan's Claw and Witchfinder General, now on 4K. I've done a video on my channel, so we won't bother going into them just now. But yeah, stunning stuff if you like these movies. Blood and Satan's Claw,
Two
Witchfinder
classics.
General.
Two
Yeah.
classics. Yeah.
Which again we've talked about a million times. I think we're just upgrading everything now. We're at the upgrade stage, isn't it?
they
We're
do
not really doing new stuff.
Hopefully in 2 years we won't be having this conversation again with the next K, right?
they do such
Yeah.
beautiful work with with the stuff they have. I mean, they shoot in 8K now in film.
Yeah.
And that's
And 6K as well, yeah.
But some I can't see older. You're only going to be as good as your source material. And if you're shooting an 8K, yes, you could do an 8K transfer and whatever, but you're dealing with older film. It's sometimes you hit that level where it's like, it's going to start getting a little spongy around the edges.
Yeah.
That's why I still buy DVD, because there's a lot of stuff that will never make it past DVD. There's a lot of stuff that's never made it past VHS.
Yeah, sadly.
Hey.
Oh well. Well, there you have it, everybody. Some new stuff we've been watching and checking out. Feel free to go investigate any of these films. We got some good stuff here, some not so good stuff, but always worth a watch. So thanks for watching The Monsters Den. Visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube all together.
All the damn
time. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and click on that notification bell so you get alert of all of our content as a post. That's right. It's getting late. I'm forgetting what the hell I have to say.
I got the cue card in there if you need it that I
It's
use.
all right. I shouldn't, Jamie. I've said it a million times, but my mind is getting fuzzy here. Anyway, we'll see you in 2 weeks here on the Monsters Den. Hammer Frankenstein. We're going to rank all 7 of them. Until then, take care. From Davy Gallagher, Jamie Laszlo, Chris Laszlo, Dan Brown, and Craig Kaminski. I'm Pete Pardo. Good night from the folks at the Monsters Den. See ya.